Good evening, everyone. Welcome into Miami Hurricanes Live. My apologies. My fault. Blame me. Had other things going on. Needed to wrap those up before we could get it started here talking Miami football. North Carolina is up ahead, of course, on Saturday. But to make it up to you, the Miami fan, and college football fans across the board, we know that our chat is certainly inviting to everyone out there that's a college football fan that we will not only have this hour of Miami football talk, but it's 7 o'clock Eastern time with Cam Underwood from State of the U. So I'm going to make it up to you. We've got the Wholesome One standing by here very soon, just about ready to jump on board. And again, it's Miami with only one loss on the season, taking on North Carolina. The Canes coming off, in some ways, their most complete effort of the season, beating Duke 48-0. Yeah, the Blue Devils aren't good, but if you look at their game-by-game log, nobody else is beating Duke 48-0. So impressive showing by the Canes in basically putting down the throttle, not letting up, sticking the boot on the neck, not letting up, and winning in fine fashion. So this team is improving. Wasn't on the field since the Virginia Tech 1-point win. But again, against a bad football team, a good indication. And for anybody that wants to criticize or somewhat disclaim or minimize the effort against Duke, again, if you look at the Blue Devils' efforts against other teams, they're not losing 48-0. They are not losing by those kind of scores. A lot of the teams that Miami struggled against and barely beat by one score, Duke was playing close against those teams, like an NC State, like a Virginia Tech, those type of teams. Of course, I'll get to your comments and questions in the live chat. Want to remind everyone that the super chat is on as well. The Wholesome One is standing by, and hopefully he'll be on here in the next couple minutes to break down the game against the Heels. Let's see what we've got from all of you. And again, I appreciate all your patience. Good to see Young Kids Midwest. Also, Snake Spence. Snake Spence, appreciate you jumping on the line every time we go live, or just about every time. Even though you're a Buckeyes fan, we're talking Miami football here. Bam, look at that. Snake Spence right there. 904 Hurricane, always early in the chat to let everyone know to like the video. Hit the like button. It means so much. 904 Hurricane, even good enough to jump in to tell everyone to like the video, even when he's not going to be able to stay. So he's part of the hashtag rewatch squad today. All right. I have no idea what that means, but David, it coming from you, we will post it to the screen there. I'm really looking forward to this game as possibly the game of the week in the country. Not necessarily the most important game because there are college football playoff contenders out there playing, but none of them are playing teams that you would expect to challenge them. So this might be the game of the week in the country, just in regards to watching two teams play a close game and play a competitive game. And I really want to see this Miami defense go up against this North Carolina offense that's been so good. That Notre Dame, to put a comparison on that, for a lot of Miami fans that see Notre Dame as, wow, that's the team that we could have played, that we could have beat, that we could have gone through to get to the ACC championship game, and then to see Notre Dame go down to Chapel Hill the day after Thanksgiving, give up 2 early touchdowns to UNC, and then just stonewall them after that. 3 points to that offense. David Knight and others have to be impressed with Notre Dame's defensive effort against North Carolina. We'll see if Miami has anything similar to that. Phil B, in a rough year for Florida State, pointing out that the Hurricanes have not won the ACC since joining the conference in 2004. And of course, that will continue this season. So we will go into 2021 with Miami 0 for roughly 17, if I'm doing the math correctly, 2004 through 20, 0 for 17 in efforts of winning the ACC. I would have to count up Florida State's ACC championship since 04, but they've won the conference. They've won the conference 6 or 7 times since Miami joined the league. So that's That is still something that Florida State can hold over Miami despite the 4 consecutive losses. 904 Hurricane with some breaking news for us. We appreciate anytime we can get some breaking news that we can present to everyone. So Florida State currently in discussions. Wish we would have known this last night when we went live with our Florida State show. That FSU currently in discussions about going back to being an all-girl school. Bo Weevil's on the line. Good to see you. Miami did finally beat Duke. Florida State has never lost to Duke. Phil probably should have waited until maybe Sunday to post that. I don't have a ton of confidence that Florida State's going to win. I picked them to win yesterday on our Florida State show, but not with a ton of confidence that they can beat Duke. They should beat Duke, but I'm not going to chalk that one up for sure. Phil, when Florida State Miami finally make it to the ACC championship, I'm going to go. That will be awesome. If you would have told somebody in 2004, when Miami joined the ACC, that Miami and Florida State would not play in an ACC championship game, and it's 2020, people would have rolled their eyes or told you that you're a moron. 17 years later, 17 seasons later, Florida State and Miami have not met in an ACC championship game, and that's mostly Miami's fault, only going to one ACC championship game in Florida State to many. Ronan's here. Yes, hopefully Luke's doing okay, David. Luke used to join us for just about every show. Have not seen him for a while. Yeah, it's unfortunate not to hear from Phil. Hopefully everything's okay with him, first of all, on a personal level, but past that, as long as everything is okay, would love to have Phil in here prior to the Miami game because there was a lot of trash talking between Miami and fans and our guy, not Phil, but Luke Walker. Luke Walker. Ronan, he promised me he would be here after Miami and North Carolina play each other, regardless of result. I'm keeping my word. I guess we'll have to see. Really look forward to this game. Hurricane Logan just got the notification, so he's telling me this at 4:12. That's unfortunate. I sent out the notification at 2:45 for the 4 o'clock. Ballard's in the house. And again, oh, there's Luke. There he is. I feel obliged to be in here for this show. No obligations, Luke. No obligations. We want this to be pure information and entertainment for everyone. Hurricane Speed Jr., thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. I want to remind everyone that this show and all the shows that we present, especially considering the new launch of the business model, and this being everything that I have by way of income, that these shows will survive and will thrive and will be extended and continue based on your contributions. And also, we would like to supplement your individual contributions with a sponsorship. And so that's up to me. That's on me. But I could also use your help if you've got some ideas or contacts that could lead me right into a sponsorship for the Miami show, Florida State, Ohio State, Nebraska, or the call-in show that we present almost every night here. So Hurricane Speed Jr., thank you so much. Beat UNC. Go Canes. How about Chuck C? Thanks, Mark. Not traveling this week, so able to jump on a few live shows. Has anyone heard if the crowd restrictions are the same? I think so. I don't know that. We may get word from the Wholesome One, who is typically here at 4:15. We are at 421. Hopefully, he is still able to make it. But Chuck C is wanting to know about the crowd restrictions at the game at Hard Rock. Good to see Dennis here. Always. Got Demetrius Abrams. Thought that was Adams for a second. My apologies. Demetrius Abrams. What's up, Mark? You doing all right? I just got on. I am doing just fine. This is not a huge deal, but I would say that the people that watch me probably misspell my name 80 to 90% of the time. No D, no D. Is there a famous Rogers other than Aaron who spells his name with a D? I don't think so. I think all the famous Rogers through the years, Roy Rogers, Kenny Rogers, I don't know about Buck Rogers. Don't know about Buck Rogers, but all us famous Rogers have gone with no D up until Aaron Rodgers came along. All right, let's keep rolling here. We got the Wholesome One on the line. Wholesome One, how you doing?
What's up, Mark? How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Great. That's always good to hear, man. The Canes.
Here in your absence.
Yeah. I'm sorry about my tardiness.
Good. You're looking sharp.
Yeah, thank you. I had a presentation today and at work, and I had to pull out the white. I always usually have the black or orange on when I'm with you, and I was like, well, I'm already have on the white. Why not just hop on and rock the white, man?
It's a good look. It's a good look.
Thank you.
And Wholesome One, it's also a game that I've been looking forward to ever since the schedule was made. I've looked across the country. Of course, you know what I do. I'm looking at all the games. I'm presenting previews on all the games. And even though we have a ton of college football playoff contenders playing this weekend, none of them are playing anybody that you would expect would be a threat. So this might be the best game out there this weekend across the country.
I agree. And it's one of the reasons why I thought we would have a chance for game day. And maybe not even if we didn't get game day, probably have a chance for the 8 p.m. But we did get the ABC slot, just 3:30. And, I'm amongst those fans, Mark, that truly feels like we have a chance to solidify it. Here's a chance where a lot of people are running out their mouth. Oh, we feel disrespected. Why is Miami behind Iowa State? Why is Miami behind Georgia? You get to a point where you understand these people turn on the film for a reason. These people see the schedules that they are. If we keep playing and you go undefeated, then you have no problem. You finish out the rest of your season undefeated, there's not much of a conversation to be had. The Miami Hurricanes have a true chance to solidify their 10th overall selection in the college football playoffs with a great showing versus UNC. A very solid team. I mean, by no means they're nobody's world beaters, but they're no bottom feeders either. They're going to be well coached, and that offense is going to be pretty dang good. And we're going to see if this defense can not only stand up in the paint, Mark, but make the plays to not just win this game, but to truly show college football that we're not building. We're not back just yet. But for 60 minutes, it's going to be a fight.
It's a top 20 team in the nation. I think that's it's in that range, North Carolina. Now, it's more like a top. I don't even know where to place their defense. Their defense has been pretty atrocious most of the season, but the offense is roughly a top 5 to 10 offense in the country. So let's knock out some of these super chats. I've already acknowledged Chuck C and Hurricane Speed. We got Ronan on the line. Yeah. Ronan. Mark with the best Miami content out there. Support the vision. I love that Ronan includes the word vision because I'm always talking about the vision here. People need to catch the vision, what the vision is here, even if it's only by liking the video. If that's what you're able to do, at least smash that like button and get these videos out there on social media. Go Canes. Ronan, we appreciate it. Wholesome One, got our first question coming in from DeQuandre on what's up with Jalen Knighton. Do you know what that refers to?
Yes. So Jalen Knighton on the second play of the game fumbled for the Miami Hurricanes, but he had a really tough shoulder injury that came out of it. He's going to be fine as of right now. It has not been released whether he's going to be active for this game or not, and available for the Miami Hurricanes. But as of right now, it wasn't anything too big like a shoulder injury that requires surgery and you can't play for the rest of the year. And if that does come out, then we will see. But as of right now, this second, there hasn't been anything out about him missing a large amount of time.
So I made the comment and talked about it right out of the gate that Duke is a bad team. They're roughly, arguably, the worst team in the ACC. Okay, but they're on the schedule. They're in the conference. They have some talent. And so the 48-0 smackdown should be commended. A lot of people would dismiss it, and I've seen I'm sure that you have, that people are like, well, it's Duke, big deal. Well, look at Duke's performances against the other teams in the ACC and a lot of teams that Miami struggled to beat, like Virginia Tech by 1 point, like NC State in the final few minutes. Duke stayed within a touchdown, 10, 11 points of those teams. So what Miami did on Saturday night was something that we've talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, basically going out there against the team that you should dominate and not beat them by 5 points. Dominate them basically from the opening drive. So that's what they did, and that was good to see.
It was amazing. And for someone like me, and I've been critical of the way that we play, I mean, I really can't stand the win-to-win mentality. I really love and it takes time to get there. Of course, no training camp, no spring ball, 4 practices or so. Okay, so it was going to take some time to really build this offense up and really build some team chemistry, especially between QB to wide receiver, a position that there was no connection there. They had 4 practices together, so it was going to take some time to build it up. And I really love the way that we dominated this game. I was very happy and excited in my film session, at the film breakdown that dropped last night, where I really broke down a lot of plays, man. You know how Jalen Phillips is playing at a really high level, nasty nesting. You see the athleticism at the linebacker position when 53 is not on the football field. You got to see Wayman Steed fly around at linebacker. You got to see our striker, and whether it's Keontre Smith or Gilbert Frierson, both continue to play at such a high level at that striker position. And you got to see what it means. I mean, you bring Keontre Smith, who's a former safety, down the striker. You bring Gilbert Frierson, who was a former corner, turning into safety, coming down the striker. So the athleticism and the coverage, the speed, man, it's a big jump as to what we've been having prior to them being in that position. So the combination of that, and another thing, Mark, is when you really discuss perimeter defense, is when you have a force and a contained player. What I mean by that is when you force, that means that you're coming off of the edge and you're forcing the play back inside to other people. Now, if you have elite defensive ends, they can really do this. They can play the force and contain. And usually your 4-3 defense is old school style. They get a little wider, and you had one forced the end and one contained the end. They just came up the field and made it bounce everything back inside. Now it's a little bit more modernized with 4-2-5s and nickels and stuff. So it's even better because those players are a little bit further outside of the box. And so when a guard or a fullback comes around, they take them and knock them out of the play and force that back to have to bounce it back inside. And the contained player is backside to where the cutback lane, there's nobody there. And if your linebackers are flowing properly, it's nowhere to go. Because I forced it back inside. You can't cut back in because the backside defense end and linebacker are coming down. And then my middle and my strong side are right in place. And you get a lot of TFLs. And you really saw that in this Duke game. So I inferred, because I don't know for a fact, that we really sat down as a defense and discussed a lot of things and got a lot of the calls and a lot of the coverages really down packed to where we can flow. You know, you can just go out there and you play because you know that this is your job and this is where you're supposed to be. And you saw the young men go out there and have a lot of fun and just roll, man. And it was great to have them solidify the goose egg. I mean, Duke was rarely ever in plus territory. And I will preference everything that I just said by we're not going to the Natty. We're not going to win the ACC. We're not going to the playoffs. But we should be happy for what these young men and this staff was able to put together, a really good game plan, and go out there and execute it to a high level. That's what you can ask for. As a fan, that's all you can really ask for. Of course, there's going to be people in the building who would have wanted more or, execute a little higher at this position or whatever when it comes and they sit down and have those film sessions with the players and coaches. But in all honesty, super happy with how they played and the level of effectiveness that they had. And super high tackling. I think we were like 98% tackling.
Chuck C brings up a good counterpoint to the comment that I made about the game not necessarily meaning much. And what I meant there is toward a championship. It's not, we've got the two teams in the conference that are going to the championship game. So this will not impact the championship in the conference. That's what I meant in terms of it not meaning what I was comparing it to. But certainly Chuck C brings up a good point. Mark, besides the optics and fact that it should be a good matchup, it is a bit like a playoff for these two, maybe an Orange Bowl berth or the very least a New Year's Six bid. Big deal for these kids in 2020.
I think he said everything right except for calling them kids. That's the only thing that's the only mess up. I think it is a mini playoff game. And not only that, but, some people discuss the 16 and 32 play, playoffs. And this is when something like that would happen, is you probably would cap it at about 10 games and, go into the big playoff from there. So, hey, man, Eric Wong, he calls us overrated. Okay. That's cool. I mean, I don't think anybody here called us world beaters, but hey, it is what it is. God bless. But do push-ups?
I don't know.
Well,
I thought maybe you guys had some kind of bet going.
I don't know what that's from. I don't think that's a fat joke, but if it is, that was a good one. But I don't know where he was coming from with that. Maybe it's the protein shake. I don't know where he was coming with that one, but okay. Logan, good God, that dude's crazy, man.
So, Maddie, I would not lay money on this. Certainly wouldn't bet my mortgage, but I believe that Mr. Rogers, meaning Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. So people were spelling my name incorrectly, and I don't care. But I was just pointing it out, Wholesome One, that I see this constantly, that most people spell my name incorrectly. They put in a D. And so I just made note of this. And then Maddie Sims is saying that Mr. Rogers, meaning Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, spells it with no, yes, absolutely. You're correct. Okay, with no D. I saw a D there, and I thought that you were stating with a D. All right, let's get back to football.
People put a D in Rogers?
What's that?
People put a D in Rogers?
Well, they do it all the time. I'd say almost 90% of the people that mention me, even in a flattering way, like complimenting and say Mark Rogers, they put a D in there. Huh. Like Aaron Rodgers has a D, but most don't have a D. Like Mr. Rogers, Kenny Rogers, all the Rogers I can think of, there's no D, but Aaron Rodgers has a D. So
I never thought about that.
People go with a D when they spell my name, and it's not a big deal. All right, so back to North Carolina. We took you through the defense last week, and you gave grades to positions. And the one that could be on display this weekend, unlike any other game this year, would be those corners against that North Carolina passing attack.
Mark, if our pass rush does not show up this week, it's going to be a long game. It's going to be a long game. I mean, we even lost Al Blaze Jr., and I really hope that he's okay because they don't really want to let out what fully happened. Even though one of the reporters down there did, without his consent, it was like really messed up how they did that. We're not going to get into that. But Al Blaze Jr. is out for the rest of the season, including the bowl game. And he's already let it be known he's willing to come back next year. But we lose a little bit of experience. And you can make an argument that we played better without him this past week with Corey Couch and Marcus Clark and DJ Ivy. You can make a comment about that, but we're going to see. We're going to see. And I think it has to work together. And that's the thing, is like, it's not about just one person. It's not about just one position. The defense as a whole has to work together. But the main thing that goes hand in hand, just like run fits, defensive tackles protect inside linebackers. Defensive line protects linebackers, and they make them right, Well, defensive line also works with coverage, because if I'm rushing you, literally rush the passer, is the definition is just that simple. It rushes the throw. It forces them to get rid of the ball faster. Well, if I have to get rid of the ball faster and not even really know if somebody's in that area, I know I'm supposed to just go to this area at this time, and I got this 6'6" dude and this 6'3" dude hounding on me every play, hitting me as soon as I let the ball go, it's going to speed up that clock a little bit. Okay, and then especially if we are able to bring him down, because their QB is not the easiest to bring down in the backfield. He could be a little elusive and nimble. Okay, so we can't go back there pulling T-shirts and wrapping his shoulder back.
He's a big guy too.
Down. You got to bring Sam Howell down. He's even leaned up a little bit, because he was kind of girthy last year, but now he's kind of slimmed down, and QB run is also a part of their offense. But man, we gotta rush the passer at a high. And not only about getting the sacks, Mark. The biggest thing you got to do is when you get there, why not bring me the football? Why not? I mean, you get there, and QBs don't always do the carrying drills that wide receivers and running backs do. Now, of course, secure the tackle. Yes, don't get back there and you're swatting at the ball, but don't secure it and bring the sack down. But if we're getting back there, take a punch at the ball. Take a swat at the ball. Secure the sack, though. You never know. It could pop right out, and it can be game-changing. One of the things that, and shout out to Coach Hayes, I did a show with him this past week. He talked about his key to the game is Miami stealing drives. What that means is taking the ball away from them, okay, and making sure that when we take the ball away from that ends their drive, and it adds more drives to us, stealing drives. What it means with turnovers and takeaways, that gives us more times, more plays, more opportunities to put up more points, because they're not going to go away. They pride themselves on second half and fourth quarter play. They're not going to just even if we're up by 28, they are still going to keep playing, and it's going to be a 4-quarter game.
So, kind of segueing from what we talked about with the cornerback. So this isn't going to address this season, but Brandon Tooks is asking, Wholesome, do you believe there's a good chance Avante Williams gets moved to corner?
No. And if he does, and somebody way more qualified than me at the University of Miami speaks to him about moving there, the person I would say, two people, Keyshawn Washington. Is that the corner? Yeah, because Smith is the wide receiver. Keyshawn Washington, South Dade product, was a striker, safety kind of, but he's 6'2", very, very lean body. So I could see him moving to corner. And also Jalen Harrell, someone who played a little corner in high school. He was a safety corner in high school. Let me clear up something, because I'm seeing this in the comment section. People may not be understanding me. I think I speak very clearly, but they may not be understanding me. I said Sam Howell is elusive and not an easy person to bring down, meaning in the backfield, he's very mobile in the pocket and he can escape. I didn't call him Big Ben. I didn't say that he was big. He's like 6'1.5", 220.
I think I said something about him being relatively big. So
okay.
In that one on me. So people can.
They deserve to be corrected. But you're good. Go ahead.
So I was talking about, before you jumped on, basically making a comparison between, I'm hearing from a lot of Miami fans, and understandably so, that they wanted the shot at Notre Dame this year, didn't get the shot at Notre Dame, and there could have been a Miami appearance in the ACC championship game if they would have played Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame. But the schedule comes out in such a way that everybody misses some teams in the conference. So the game wasn't played. Notre Dame's played extremely good football this year from about week 3 on. They had a few substandard type performances against the likes of Duke and Louisville early. Then they put it into gear, and they've been running on high cylinder ever since, both offense and defense. So I made the comment that it would be interesting in assessing the Miami defense to compare it to what Notre Dame did against North Carolina. And again, I love this North Carolina offense. They've got two beasts at running back. They've got exceptional skill perimeter players. Of course, Sam Howell's one of the top 5-ish quarterbacks in the country. They've got it all working on offense. Something in that range. You're not going to go top 5 with Sam Howell?
No, I'll give him 10 easily. Though.
Okay, 5 to 10.
He's like 7, like 6 or 7.
Yeah, 5-ish.
There's some other people who have added themselves in. So that's the only reason why.
That's why I went 5-ish.
Yeah.
So 5 to 10 in the nation, something in that range. That Notre Dame, and I pretty much watched every play of that game. Notre Dame gave up 2 early long drive touchdowns to North Carolina, adjusted 3 points, 1 field goal the rest of the game. Nothing. So just to make that comparison between what Miami is able to do defensively against North Carolina this week and what Notre Dame did, that's going to be intriguing.
I think it is. And of course, the Miami coaches would have seen what Notre Dame did and tried to replicate that. I mean, that's just obvious. Because one of the things I had to battle with in my evaluation, I've watched their 2 Power 5 recent games, Wake Forest and Notre Dame. Because I'm not going to count what they played last week. That was just, they averaged 21 points a quarter. What's the point, So I looked at them versus Wake and then D. Well, in the 2 comparisons, you see how Wake Forest, how North Carolina tried to play them defensively against another kind of potent top 20 offense, the way that they can go and rack up numbers also when it comes to Wake Forest, and then how they played against a multiple, but also pretty run-heavy offense in Notre Dame, and how UNC really didn't have the horses to be able to stop the run. But yet again, Miami offensive line is nowhere near Notre Dame's offensive line. But you look at how UNC's pass defense gave up a lot to Wake Forest and Notre Dame, when Miami has the athletes that's comparable to both of them. So that's why I was able to kind of take a little bit from both in the approach. I mean, their run stop is like 51st. I mean, they're pretty bad at stopping. Or defensively, they're just bad against any competition. Because, I mean, the team they played last week still had about 400 yards of total offense on their defense. But the UNC offense is so potent, it's really tough to handle. And another thing, Mark, I think this year is just so important to understand that last week has nothing to do with this week. Last year has nothing to do with this year. There's people in our fan base who keep coming and chirping about how Tallahassee beat North Carolina. That was 2 months ago. What does that have to do with them playing us this Saturday? Oh, don't forget, we blew out Tallahassee, and Tallahassee beat them. So theoretically, we should blow it. No, it doesn't work like that. That's not how that works. Okay? That's just, it just doesn't.
And if it did work like that, Wholesome One, obviously they play in the same conference. All I'd have to do is pull up the schedule, and we could make a bunch of other comparisons that wouldn't work out as well for Miami. Florida State's not the only team they both played.
Exactly.
They've played a bunch of other teams as well. Like they beat Virginia Tech by 14. Miami beat them by 1. So do we say, okay, they should beat them by 13 then?
Because I mean, by that viewpoint, then Tallahassee should have beat us, because they beat a 5th ranked team, which is obviously ranked higher than Miami's been all year. So Tallahassee should have beat Miami then. No, like, come on, man. Like, we got to do better than that, man. Way better than that.
That Florida State game against North Carolina is one of the handful of complete, just head scratcher aberrations of the season. And I know they had a big special. They had 1 or 2 big special teams, and I'm not discounting special teams because it counts.
Right.
But North Carolina had a couple special teams breakdowns that Florida State got kind of gifted early points, and then they also had a pick 6, which again, it's part of the game, but it was a pick 6 in which there was a ball batted at the line, and it fell right into the Florida State guy's hands, and he was in the clear. Like, as soon as he caught the ball, it's a touchdown because he had nothing to grass in front of him. And I'm not discounting their win. They went out there and they won fair and square. There weren't bad calls or anything, but they also just, man, they had all sorts of things go right, and they were up like 31-6, and then they held on for dear life to get to the finish line, like 31-26 or 31-28.
But then you also see one of their other scratch losses, and scratch your head losses is Virginia.
Yeah.
The team that we scraped by. I mean, we dominated yards. We just couldn't score. I mean, we're not going to get into that. But they lost to them in a shootout. So it's like, in my opinion, something I spoke about on my channel is, I think that's what they thrive in. I believe they thrive in you playing their brand of football and them, trying to drag you into a shootout. You both scoring in like 5 to 8 plays, something like that. If we were able to, and I hate sustained drives, but as far as, because if you could score in 1 play, why not? You don't have to just go on a 10-play drive just to milk clock. I don't like that approach, because then who's to know that you even score? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't know if they've seen a defense as athletic. Listen to what I'm saying. Athletic at certain positions at all this year. Tallahassee's defense is one of the worst. Notre Dame is extremely well coached. They have some pretty good athletes at the safety positions. Corners are a bit, linebackers are a bit, and D-line is just kind of do your job guys. Okay. And they're 3-4 attack type defense. So they haven't played a team, except for the edge rusher at Wake Forest. He's pretty good. But we got 2 of them who are pretty good. And Nestor Silvera at 3 technique, who's pretty good. So I don't think that they've seen the type of unit as they're going to see this Saturday afternoon. And like I said, nothing about before has anything to do with now anyway. So we hope that the Miami Hurricanes defense shows up this Saturday. It ain't about the goose egg that we did to Duke. Of course, you want to take that confidence with you. That's obvious. But just because you got 2 sacks versus Duke don't mean you're going to get 2 sacks from UNC just because you're 6'6". It doesn't work like that. It doesn't.
There's a lot of excitement and a lot of talk out there about Jake Garcia. Do you have any more information? We've addressed Jake Garcia a number of times with the Wholesome One, with Cam, and Jake Garcia, I believe he transferred to a different high school. Is that the reason why he became such a big, or he decommitted? Why is he in the news this week?
He decommitted from USC.
Okay. All right.
And he had already went to 5,000 high schools. I mean, every year he was at a different high school in high school. And then even this past year transferred to play ball in Georgia from way in California. And then the original school he was at, he was deemed ineligible. So flipped to a new school. I mean, he's just been all over. And that's no indictment to the young man. I don't know him. I don't pretend to know him. I can't talk about him as a person. But it does seem a little, 6 schools in 4 years is a bit much.
Yeah.
But yeah, he decommitted from USC, and he's everybody's pick to be the Miami Hurricanes starting QB. But every year, Mark, it's the new QB is the new person every single year. We brought in Jaron and we had Kosi on the roster. Jaron's going to be the one. We bring in TVD. We bring in Peyton Matoka. Oh, he's my favorite. Tyler Van Dyke commits to us last year. Oh, he's the guy. De'Aaron King transfers in. Oh, he's amazing. We're going to the championship every year, man. We got a consistent offense that puts together a really good scheme that allows your athletes to play in open space. You'll be just fine.
You are completely right. And it's not just the Miami fan base. It's every fan base is like that. They love recruiting, which I understand is the lifeblood of every program. Obviously, it's the talent acquisition, of course. But even if they have, and I'm not calling out again, Miami fans, this is college football fans across the board. Even if they have capable or really good players at that position, somehow that guy that's never stepped on a collegiate field yet is always better. They always want him. He's going to be better. We want him to play.
Mark, how's the whole thing go? The favorite player on every team is the backup QB.
Sure. Exactly.
Imagine being a backup kicker. Good God.
Now, have you had a chance to watch Jake Garcia on film? Have you watched his tape?
Oh, man. I have. I think he's good. But the whole Ken Dorsey comparisons and stuff like that, people got to just chill out. I think he would be a great. Would I take him? Absolutely. I would love to have him as a part of this roster. I just hope, because the other thing about it is how the fans feel and how the staff feels about a player isn't always the same. Like us just thinking, oh, he's a plug and play starter. No, he's going to go on Green Tree practice field and earn his reps. So I would love to say Jake Garcia to the U, commit to the U, he signs with us, and hopefully comes in and has a great career. I think he brings a couple things to the table I really like. He's mobile when need be. His arm is a little but he's very accurate. And a lot of people feel like that's the main thing you want a QB to be. Is deadly accurate and a leader. And I can't speak to his leadership skills, but I can definitely speak to his accuracy.
So the comparison between the Miami team of 2020 and the 2019 edition is obvious. This team's winning games. They're basically winning the games that the other team did not. And the two obvious, well, I'll go to three obvious differences would be, and probably number them in importance would be quarterback 1, offensive coordinator 2. You could probably flip those if you could make that argument. Number 3, you got a capable kicker who's going to make all the kicks that need to be made. So those are the three obvious. How else, if you went just surveying the offense and the defense in particular, the differences between, even if they're the same guys, maybe they've improved to compare the rest of this team against the 2019 version?
I think mainly, Mark, how the schedule set up was huge. If the Miami Hurricanes, let's say, for example, you flip that and you start out the season with, because who do we end the season with? Duke.
Florida.
Let's say the Miami Hurricanes last year starts out with Duke.
Oh, okay.
The second game is FIU, and then finish the season with Florida. I think it's a completely different season. But you start out over. I mean, all the hype, all of the dancing, the wrestling, the music, everything that Coach Manny Diaz brought to this team as a head coach starts out winless against Florida and against UNC. So all of the things that he was preaching had no substance behind it anymore. Now when he chews you out, man, we suck. Man, we losing. What are you yelling at me for? What are we talking about here? But if you start out 1, 2, 3, 4-0, 5-1, it's a little different. The young men have a different grasp and how they really want to go out there and play hard for you. When you do a halftime speech, it really hits home. It doesn't have to just be a rivalry game for it to hit home. But it went in such waves last year that there was no consistency to the program. There was no program. We were a football team. What we're building right now is working towards a program. There's 2 systems in place. There's a spread offense. There's a 4-2-5 defense. And for the foreseeable future, we want to coach, recruit, and execute to those 2 systems across the board. Now, for about 3 years, we've been recruiting, coaching, and executing the 4-2-5. And you see how once we put it together and the pieces look the way that they do, it comes out really nice and shiny. The spread is natural, so it allows our players to be a little bit more relaxed and still make plays. But imagine that system 2-3 years, irregardless of coach, because the 4-2-5 was coached under Coach Manny Diaz and was coached under Blake Baker. You know what I'm saying? So irregardless of who the coach was, we still had a very successful defense in the flow of it. Now, last year's defense was a bit meh. Statistically, they were the 13th ranked defense, but they weren't the 13th ranked defense. I would argue that this defense is the 13th ranked defense, and they're like 26th or 30th. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Perception and film and what I'm seeing is reality. That's why I don't do the numbers things. I don't come here and tell you, hey, Mark, I think we're going to beat UNC because statistically proven, according to Pro Football Focus, from this particular angle on this down, they do this. No, I'm a film guy, okay, because the eye in the sky doesn't lie. You don't have to tell me and show me numbers if I can turn on a film and see it with my own eyes, what you like to do. So I think the biggest difference, yes, you are correct. And I think it was in the original order. QB, OC, and what was your third one?
Well, I didn't necessarily mean it as being the third most important factor, but the third most obvious difference. You go from horrible place kicking to one of the best in the country. So you're going to make your field goals.
Yeah. I think that is it. Because, I mean, you still had really good pass rush last year, even though it was coming from one player. You still had a solid defense both years. I think this one is better than the last one, way more athletic. The QB position is just night and day. Being able to complete slants, outs, and ends feels really good. Not just bombs, curls, and posts. That's all we could complete last year. And for years, probably since Bradley Kyle was in college, and that was 2016.
I've got to think, Wholesome One, and you see this all the time, and the guys out there aren't perfect, but this has to be one of the more frustrating things for a coach is when the play works and almost everybody on the field works it to perfection. The offensive line blocks it well. Maybe the quarterback delivers it. Let's say it's 3rd and 7. You've had a nice drive to that point. You've driven it 30, 40 yards. You're at the other team's 40, 45-yard line. You're on a nice roll. It's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and everything works on the play. Wide receiver just drops the ball. So everything worked. Everything's good. And it's just a drive killer. That killed the drive.
Man, listen.
And what made me think of it was to your quarterback comparison in previous years, it was the wide receiver ran the route. He's got separation. There's protection. The ball's in the dirt or the ball 4 feet over his head. And it's like everybody on the offense did what they were supposed to do. And just a throw that any decent college quarterback can make wasn't made.
And, I feel bad for players like N'Kosi Perry and Jaron Williams because one thing about a foundation, Mark, it's really, really hard to build, but it is your core. And they were being coached by Mark Richt, who is just, bad. Just he's bad. Okay, so their foundation was never laid properly. They're on an uneven house that can't even be built because the foundation, the blueprint was built bad. I mean, I've been a defensive lineman, offensive lineman, my entire life. Even at my top tier, I was a linebacker, 3-4, outside linebacker, stand up. So basically rushing. Okay, never played QB a day in my life, but I understand it's first cerebral, second feet, third shoulders, and some people argue that's 1A, 1B, and 1C. It's just like all three of those things have to be in line for you to be doing really well at the QB position. I can't speak to our players' IQs. I don't like doing that because I'm not in there. I can't test them myself, okay? But when N'Kosi Perry's feet are just completely out of whack, his shoulders aren't pointed where he wants to really throw the ball, that's coaching. And if we can't create a true foundation, the person who gets ridiculed is the player because he's out there. Not the position coach who never built anything, never taught him anything, So it hurts.
If I could have a sit down with Mark Richt one day, and I would just ask him, I would say, I won't even broadcast this. I won't even publicize this, but I would love to know, man to man, what was going through your mind. I just, we're talking about a guy that, take out some of the true greats, Nick Saban and so forth, but you don't have to go far down the list after he leaves Georgia, finishes in the top 10, 8 times out of 15 years. You could go down everything he did, except win a national championship there, that he can go in now as the Miami coach. This is where he's wanted to coach. It's his alma mater. It's a great destination. All the things are in play for him, and he's got credibility. He can walk in almost every living room in the country and be in the conversation to get a recruit. So he brings in the 8th best class in the country. He has that 10-3 season. He's got everything going in the right direction.
Side note, before you keep going, that 8th ranked recruiting class are now juniors.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like our starters now are from that class that he brought in. So you see, he did bring in some talent, but keep going.
Absolutely. And then he can clearly know that his son is not capable of holding down that position, and that's hurting his football team. That's hurting his football program. He's trying to build a winner. He got off to a good start. Still use your clout, still use your pull. Go get him a job at some Division II school. Go have him learn and work his craft somewhere. And you can be a dad. There's nothing wrong with that. But go not at Miami.
Hey, Mark Richt wanted to see his grandbabies. Oh, it's my granddaughter.
It just,
I mean, it was sick, Mark.
I just can't believe that.
Time QB and QB coaching was brought up, he would turn the conversation to his grandkids. Oh, I love having them here. God, it's amazing. I love having them here. My grandbabies are right outside, around the corner. Oh, it's so beautiful. What about N'Kosi Perry's feet? Oh, my grandbaby. So amazing. What's going on with Jaron Williams and his development? Oh, we went to go pick her up from daycare today. It was bad.
I just think the guy has to be too smart to think he could have turned that into a retirement home job and win at the same time. But anyway, that's all in the past. Yeah, Danny Q 519. Appreciate this super chat and the comment here. Mark and the Wholesome One, thank you for making my day after a long day of work. Mark, do those FSU guys really think, he's talking about our Florida State show from last night, think that Jake Garcia is going to FSU? I needed a good laugh last night. Garcia to the U. Yeah, if I'm Jake Garcia or any player of that caliber, that Florida State situation would have to be cleaned up, and I would have to see that it's been turned around and cleaned up, and it would have to be proven to me over a course of a couple of years. But I wouldn't want any part of that if I was a top high school football player. But unless he wants to know that he can pretty much start from day one, he could probably get that job right out of the gate. All right. Anything else out of you folks? What do we got here out of Sid Irish? Don't necessarily think that's anything for us.
I will say this in our closing remarks.
Yep.
First off, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Mark, for allowing me. I mean, this is 8 weeks straight, I want to say, excluding like the holiday, Thanksgiving, that I've had an opportunity to be, whether we're on your main channel, whether we're on our Miami channel, whether it's cut-ups. Just want to say thank you, because we have to be grateful, for the blessings that we do get, man, because there's plenty of people who are probably even better than me who would love to have this slot, and you even give people chances, to weekly. They can call in or do what I'm doing right here once a week. So just want to tell you thank you personally for allowing me on here. Thank you to the fans that show up and subscribers all the time, the hashtag Live Squad, Notification Squad. We appreciate you all, man. I think we as YouTubers and content providers, it's always a great opportunity to just take some time in every video just to say thank you for what you guys do for us, man, because we would just be, men talking into a screen if it wasn't for you all. It's not only your donations, but just even if you're here for 3 seconds, your likes, your comments, whatever, we just want to say thank you so much. But if I were to make a final comment about the Canes, I think, Mark, we have a chance to solidify, like I said, our top 10 ranking against a quality opponent. Is it revenge? Maybe. But the Miami Knights are coming out. Part 2, blackout on Saturday for an afternoon game. But it gets dark at like 5 o'clock in Miami, so it'll be dark by mid-second quarter, okay? Does that guy have on a Dolphins hat and says Miami's? That makes sense. Okay, I guess his Dolphins aren't doing too good, man. Anyway, our Canes have a chance, man. They got a chance. I think these young men are gonna really, really love the opportunity, love the stage, because that's all you can ask for. Is that when you're on that stage, take advantage of it, live in the moment, play hard, give high effort, because man, you don't get chances like this that are going to come back between two quality teams. Because Miami may jump off into the elite area, maybe, and UNC may or may not go up. They may go down and become, a middle of the road pack. These are two quality teams, all right? And the only thing that matters is going to be the 60 minutes or however long it's required for you to go out and win and dominate this football game. Because they're going to come to ruin the party and be the ESPN headline of the fact that they beat a top 10 Miami team. That's what they're coming down there to do. They're not coming down there to just find a way to win. They're not coming down there to put up stats. They're not coming down there just to put up points. They're coming down there to kick our butts and to embarrass us and to dominate us. Because that's what you put on your uniform to do. You don't put on a uniform to just go out there and play as hard as you can and see what happens. No. It's disrespectful that they put on their uniform and thought they were going to beat you. That's the right mindset. That's a championship mindset. And we'll see what we bring Saturday. My whole guess for this upcoming Saturday. Final. Miami 35. UNC 27. That's it for me, Mark.
Wholesome one. I will reciprocate what you had to say here to say you have a good understanding of what we're trying to do here and what we are in the process of building. And I can't do that alone. I provide certain analysis and certain perspective that's different than others. I have certain areas of expertise when it comes to college football, when it comes to this type of production, but I don't have it covered across the board. I cannot analyze the tape. I cannot scout the players to the degree that you can. I certainly am trying to cover everyone, so I'm not sitting there watching every play of Miami football. And therefore, I have branched out to bring in people like yourself, people that I trust, I respect. I see the ability to not only have the knowledge, but communicate the knowledge, be engaging, be entertaining, and put it all together. And to complement what I do just as a one-man show here at times, but to be able to complement that with analysis from top-notch people like yourself. So thank you, because otherwise I wouldn't have anything close to the channel that I have without yourself included.
I appreciate the kind words, man. That means a lot coming from you. And I tell a story all the time. When I was at Mayville State, before I came to North Dakota State University, and I was sitting in those dorms and watch you and Cam talk, and I never once thought I would be. And this is back when we were on Hangout. Remember Hangout, Google
Sure.
Hangout, when it was tough to talk at the same time because the camera kept flipping back and forth, man. And I never once thought that I would share the same screen and talk about this team that I love so much. And now, 5 years down the line, I've been here for almost a year and a half now, going on 2, and it's always a fresh, engaging ability to be here and a responsibility to make sure that I'm bringing some great content to the table, man, and making sure it's quality. That's always important because your subscribers and the people who give us their valuable time deserve it. So I bid you adieu. Hopefully the Canes handle business, and whether they do or they don't, I'll be here every Thursday at 4:15 Eastern Standard Time, maybe like 4:20. I'm driving home from work. So I'll be here to talk about our Canes. And as always, go Canes.
If you want more, we'll be back at 7 o'clock with Cam Underwood from State of the U, and we've got Nebraska talk coming your way at 6. So again, we are done here, but if you want more Miami football talk, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Nebraska at 6 Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central for you folks there in the great Midwest around Nebraska. We'll see you guys soon. We appreciate it.